All right, Detective, when we left off on Friday afternoon, we had made it in our timeline to August 27th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give me just a really brief kind of summary of what was important between August 23rd and August 26th before we get started back on August 27th?
Sure. Beginning August 23rd, I guess I'll start when both devices appear to leave 1001 Delafield Street the morning of August 23rd. They travel the general route to the Quick Trip at 2001 Gulf Road, and then ultimately over to Orthopedic Associates on Gulf Road. Approximately 10:53 to 10:55 a.m., it appears the devices are moving back east, and both devices appear to return to 1001 Delafield. To my knowledge, Mr. Pahl enters the apartment building, and we do not see Ms. Pavlons return. However, her device appeared to come back to 1001 Delafield or in that area. Later that afternoon, there's two outgoing calls made from Ms. Pavlon's cell phone. Both of those calls are to food card request. Moving on to August 24th, there's an outgoing call on Ms. Pavlon's device to the Pick and Save Pharmacy. Mr. Pahl on August 24th messages Desierto indicating that he's worried about something. Moving on to August 25th, Mr. Pahl picks up a prescription at the Pick and Save Pharmacy that belonged to Ms. Pavlons, and he again messages...
Judge, I'm going to object to this narrative.
Overruled. You may respond. Go ahead.
And he messages Desierto again, indicating that he's worried. Moving on to August 26th, in the early morning hours, there's an email exchange between Mr. Pahl and Sherilyn Valente. In that email exchange, Mr. Pahl indicates that he can't talk much, something bad happened, and that she should not ask him through text about that. About that same time, there's a message sent from Mr. Pahl to Desierto on Skype, indicating that he woke up with a bad feeling. Evening hours of August 26th, there's, I believe, 3 missed Facebook calls to Ms. Pavlon's Facebook account from Layla. None of those are answered. Immediately following that, there's an incoming call on Ms. Pavlon's cell phone from Layla, and she leaves a voicemail. Generally speaking, she indicates she's in the hospital with a broken leg. About 15 minutes later, there's an outgoing call on Ms. Pavlon's device to check voicemail. And then Mr. Pahl sends a message to Desierto indicating that his niece had a broken leg. To my knowledge, I did not see any contact between Mr. Pahl's device and Layla. Later that night, there's an outgoing call from Matthew Pahl to Marvin Pahl. That outgoing call lasts several minutes. That's the first contact that I saw between their devices in over 2 months. After that call, there's a message to Desierto on Skype that he says, Matthew Pahl says that he had spoke to his father, that he's kind of worried as well.
Okay, thank you for that summary. Up to the point of August 26th, did you see any calls either from Mr. Pahl's phone or Ms. Pavlon's phone calling 911 or making any report to either the City of Waukesha Police or the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department?
No.
Okay. We can return again to Exhibit 202, please. I'm going to start on slide 57. That's in front of you now, Detective. What happens on August 27th?
The morning of August 27th, there's an incoming call on Matthew Pahl's device from Marvin Pahl. That call lasts approximately 1 hour and 23 minutes. During that call, there's some web searches that we recovered on Marvin Pahl's MacBook computer. Those web searches are all made through the Yahoo search engine, and they include Stephanie Pavlons, Missing Persons, Waukesha, Wisconsin, and Stephanie Pavilions, Missing Woman.
As of August 27th, had Ms. Pavlons been reported missing by anyone?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Next slide, please. What happens on August 28th?
There's a Skype conversation between Matthew Pahl and Desierto at approximately 7:19 a.m. Matthew Pahl says, in part, "Something happened, hun. I can't explain in text." And Desierto responds, "Was it related to the matter you were worried about?"
Detective, I want to ask you, we've seen a couple messages where Mr. Pahl has indicated he can't talk about this through text. Based on your experience in reviewing hundreds of cell phones and messages from criminal defendants, is it a common theme for individuals to not want to talk about any criminal activity over text message?
I'd agree with it.
Speculate to that form of question.
Hang on. Overruled.
I'd agree with that statement.
Okay. What happens next?
There's some police scanner app usage on Matthew Pahl's device. It's open from approximately 7:22 a.m. to 7:27 a.m. And then later in the morning, there's a Skype call between Matthew Pahl and Desierto. It's at about 9:04 a.m., and that call lasts approximately 2 hours and 16 minutes.
Now, Detective, we had a couple mentions of Mr. Pahl using a police scanner. What types of things occur over a police scanner?
General communications between law enforcement, dispatching to calls for service, any communication on a police radio.
Okay, and so if, say, a body was found or law enforcement was responding to a crime scene, would that be aired over the radio?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. All right, next slide, please. What date are we on here?
August 28th, later in the morning, about 9:55 a.m. to 10:32 a.m. These are internet searches recovered from Marvin Pahl's MacBook computer. Search terms that were made through Yahoo: missing people list in Wisconsin 2021, Stephanie Pavlons, missing woman, and then there's several Facebook searches, mainly for Layla Pavlons. Appears to be Stephanie Pavlons with a spelling error. Stephanie Pavlons photos, again with the spelling error, and Georgianne Pavlons.
Do you know Georgianne and Layla Pavlons to be relatives of Stephanie Pavlons?
That's what I was told, yes.
Okay. Next slide. What happens on August 29th?
Morning of August 29th, the top two are web searches on Matthew Pahl's cell phone. There's a web visit to GM Today, the Waukesha obituaries page. Approximately 1 minute later, there's a search on GM Today for Pavlons.
And at this point on August 29th, has anyone reported Stephanie Pavlons missing or in trouble?
Not to my knowledge.
And at this point, does anyone, even law enforcement, know that Stephanie Pavlons is deceased?
No.
And what happens next?
There's two instances of police scanner app usage on Matthew Pahl's phone. They occur from approximately 10:34 p.m. to 10:40 p.m. and 11:22 p.m. to 11:27 p.m.
Next slide, please. Turning to August 30th, what did you find on Mr. Pahl and Ms. Pavlon's devices?
So beginning August 30th, I started to see messages being sent from Ms. Pavlon's device to Matthew Pahl's device. The first two are listed here. The top section is information that I obtained from Matthew Pahl's physical device. It shows that there's two incoming messages, both with what appear to be YouTube mobile links. And then the bottom section here is information from Ms. Pavlon's call detail record. Those RCS-IM chats are essentially your multimedia messages. So it's showing that there's outgoing multimedia messages from Ms. Pavlon's device to Mr. Pahl's device. The reason I referenced Ms. Pavlon's call detail record here is I did not observe these messages in her phone anymore.
So in order for those messages to not be in her phone, what would have to happen?
Either someone would have to delete them or a setting would have to be set to only retain messages for a certain amount of time and the phone would automatically delete them.
Okay. And I see is that 8 messages outgoing from Ms. Pavlon's call detail records.
Yes, but that's not necessarily to say there's exactly 8 messages sent from her device. Sometimes you'll see multiple entries. Some of these are the exact same timestamps. So this would be what the network recorded, although they might not be 8 individual messages.
Okay. And in Mr. Pahl's device, you found 2 messages, including those links?
Correct.
So those messages were deleted from Ms. Pavlon's phone, but not from Mr. Pahl's phone?
Correct.
Next slide, please. What else happens on August 30th?
There's an incoming call on Ms. Pavlon's phone from what I believe to be Aurora Medical. What you're seeing in the top there is an incoming call on Ms. Pavlon's device, and then that same call being routed out to voicemail. So the incoming call obviously wasn't answered, and that call was directed to voicemail. Approximately 32 minutes later, there's an outgoing call on Ms. Pavlon's device to check voicemail, and that outgoing call to check voicemail was deleted from her phone.
And these calls and messages that were both sent and received in the outgoing call to the voicemail, did all of those occur at or near 1001 Delafield Street?
At this point, yes. I don't have any indication that the device left that area.
Okay. You also indicated that the voicemail, is it the voicemail itself that is deleted or the call to the voicemail that's deleted?
The call to check voicemail.
Okay. Next slide. Continuing on August 30th, what do we see here?
There's a Skype conversation between Matthew Pahl and Desierto. At approximately 10:30 p.m., Desierto says, "Have you talked with your dad?" And then at approximately 10:36 p.m., Matthew Pahl says, "No, not today. The day before I did, but tomorrow I have to call him again. It's very important."
What happens next?
There's a Skype call between Matthew Pahl and Desierto. It's an incoming call on Matthew Pahl's device, and that call lasts approximately 45 minutes. It occurred at approximately 10:39 p.m.
Okay. Next slide, please. What happens on August 31st that was significant of this investigation?
There's additional web searches on Matthew Pahl's device between approximately 10:26 a.m. and 10:27 a.m. There's a web visit to GM Today, specifically the Waukesha obituaries page. Then there's a search on GM Today for Pavlons, and then an additional search, a web visit on Waukesha obituaries page on GM Today for Richard D. Pavlons.
Okay. What was unusual about these web searches that you've continued to see going forward from August 23rd all the way to now August 31st?
I'm not sure what you mean by unusual. What I did here is sometimes you'll see if somebody leaves a tab open that it's not actually an additional search, rather they just opened that tab again on their phone. So when I put these searches in the PowerPoint, I selected only ones that have different or unique spelling. So in this case, we saw that the search for Pavlons actually has a space after it. That's different than the last search for Pavlons.
So you can say that this is a new search, not just opening a new tab or opening the same tab over again.
Correct.
Okay, so this is a unique and different search from the searches you've seen before.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What about those incoming calls on Ms. Pavlon's device?
At approximately 2:39 p.m., there's an incoming call. It's from who I believe to be Delafield Dental, and there's a voicemail associated with that call. Approximately 1 minute later, that same call is routed out to voicemail.
Okay, if we can play the voicemail, please.
This message is for Stephanie. This is Katie calling from Delafield Dental. I was just calling to let you know we look forward to seeing you this coming Friday, September 2nd at 12 p.m. for your new patient appointment. Again, that is this coming Friday, September 2nd at 2 p.m. Thank you, Stephanie. Have a great day.
So, Detective, that message was left on August 31st in reference to an appointment on September 2nd?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next page, please. Okay, Detective, what are we seeing here?
So this is going to be another animation. It's on September 1st at approximately 7:13 a.m. This was the first time that I saw obvious movement on Ms. Pavlons' device moving away from the area of 1001 Delafield. The device generally is going to travel from the area, the Waukesha area, down to the area of Schroeder Hospital. It does appear that both Matthew Pahl's device is traveling with Ms. Pavlons' device at this time.
Okay. So from August 23rd until September 1st, Ms. Pavlons' device remains at or near 1001 Delafield Street?
It appears to, yes.
Okay. And then on September 1st, when you observed that these devices traveled together away from the apartment, did you also endeavor to make sure that there was no surveillance video of Ms. Pavlons exiting the apartment around the same time that these devices are leaving?
I didn't specifically do that, but to my knowledge, she's never seen again on the video at 1001 Delafield.
That was done by other detectives in the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department?
Yes, a number of people reviewed that video.
Okay. So you said this is going to be an animation, just like we saw before, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And please tell me about what exactly it is that we should be looking for on the map as far as the significant portion of the animation.
Yes, so you're going to see both blue marks pop up on the map. Those would be for Matthew Pahl's device. You're also going to see red marks pop up on the map. That would be for Ms. Pavlons' device. It's important to note, remember, that the tower is going to have that cone shape. But when we're doing analysis of these records, we're looking more so at the arc from that tower, not necessarily the tower being used.
Okay, we can push play, please. Okay, Detective, and based on your review of these records, you believe both devices have traveled together to the area of Schroeder Hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next slide, please. Why was this significant on September 1st?
These are pictures captured on September 1st by Matthew Pahl's device. Up top, that's some data regarding application usage logs, which shows that the camera applications being brought into focus on his device. Between approximately 8:11 a.m. and 8:12 a.m., there's two pictures captured on Matthew Pahl's device. These two pictures are both from a building at Schroeder Hospital.
Why did you find these to be significant in your analysis of the records themselves? Let me ask you a different question. Do these pictures help you corroborate the records and the analysis that you've made of the records?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me about that.
I guess it's two-part. First off, these records, we're tracking a device. So I'm not tracking necessarily a specific person, but rather I'm talking about generalized locations for a device. So it's important that we're able to determine who's using that device. Further, these records do have some variance to accuracy. In my experience, they are very accurate, but it's still important that we corroborate our findings with other known facts, such as pictures being taken at a specific location.
Okay, and so this corroborated that Mr. Pahl's device was certainly at Schroeder Hospital based on these photographs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next slide, please. What else happens on September 1st?
There's conversation between Matthew Pahl and Desierto on Skype, including the following message. At approximately 8:11 p.m., Matthew Pahl says, Other one is called vacay.com or vacay.com. Either one, I'm looking for a one-way ticket from Chicago O'Hare to the Philippines, most likely Manila. Then 2 days before I leave, I will buy a throwaway ticket to go to Thailand or Vietnam. You have to do this if you plan on staying longer than 30 days, but I think you know this.
And important in this message, Mr. Pahl indicates that he's buying only a one-way ticket rather than a round-trip ticket.
It appears that way, yes.
Okay. Next slide, please. What else did you see on the devices on September 1st?
On September 1st, between approximately 8:52 p.m. and 8:53 p.m., I observed more messages being sent from Ms. Pavlons' device to Matthew Pahl's device. So the top section is for Matthew Pahl's device. It shows that there's incoming messages, 2 of them. They each have one attachment, and then the attachment is listed on the far right. The first one is named 1154.heic. The second one is named 1138.heic. And I marked that they're empty because that attachment wasn't necessarily recovered. However, at the not the exact same time, but within seconds of those messages being sent, his phone created thumbnails of images. And in the thumbnail file name, I see the matching. So the first one is THMB, which is typically short for thumbnail, _1154, which matches the file name attachment. And then the second one is THMB _1138, which matches the second attachment. The bottom section on this page, there's some really long file names, but specifically the second line down here where it says images, and then there's a description of a really long file name. That image, it's an image, it's cached by Ms. Pavlons' messaging application. That image matches the thumbnail attachment on Mr. Pahl's device. And then later on, second from the bottom, there's another image with a very long file name. That matches the second thumbnail created by Mr. Pahl's device. In the bottom section, around what we're seeing there is application usage on Ms. Pavlons' phone that shows that the messaging application and the gallery application are being used. I noted that information because the messages on Ms. Pavlons' phone were deleted. So I'm using this evidence to corroborate that that application was in use, and it's likely that a message was sent.
Okay, so you don't actually find the messages sent from Ms. Pavlons to Mr. Pahl in Ms. Pavlons' phone.
That's correct.
Okay, so you need all of this kind of complicated information to confirm to you that those messages actually were sent?
I guess I don't need them because I see on Matthew Pahl's device that there are incoming messages, but the bottom portion I use to show that they were sent from Ms. Pavlons' device and they were deleted.
Okay, and the next slide, please. This pertains to some of the information you've already testified to, right?
Yes, these are the 2 images that I just talked about. And each image appears twice. The reason being is the very first image, so starting far left, is that very long file name that I talked about that is being cached or modified by Ms. Pavlons' device. And about the same time, that thumbnail is created on Mr. Pahl's device. And even though they're slightly different based on computer technology, to your eye, they appear the same. And then the same thing for the third and fourth picture. The third one is the very long file name being cached or modified by Ms. Pavlons' device. And at about the same time, that thumbnail on the far right, or the fourth picture, is what is created on Matthew Pahl's device.
Okay, so we have still just 2 photos that are sent from Ms. Pavlons to Mr. Pahl's device, and this tells you how you know it's these particular photos?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next slide, please. What else happens on September 1st?
There's additional conversation between Matthew Pahl and Desierto on Skype. Beginning at approximately 9:28 p.m., Desierto says, "What time do you prefer to travel and arrived, hun?" At approximately 9:36 p.m., Matthew Pahl says, "Time doesn't really matter, but I think I'm looking for a flight leaving possibly at the end of the month or beginning of next month." Approximately 2 minutes later, Matthew Pahl says, "Last time I checked, this month was September. End of this month to beginning of November is my target date to launch."
Detective, I failed to ask you this when we were talking about the last few messages that were sent from Ms. Pavlon's device to Mr. Pahl. You showed us a mapping earlier in the day of both devices traveling to Schroeder. Did you also observe that these devices return back to the residence or are later at the 1001 Delafield location?
Yes, ma'am. There were records that showed Matthew Pahl's device traveling a similar route back to 1001 Delafield. There were no records on Ms. Pavlon's device necessarily to show it traveling back to 1001 Delafield, but it does eventually show back up at 1001 Delafield.
If a device was powered off, would that explain why there are no records for a particular device?
Yes, ma'am. For the timing advance records, I guess a couple situations where those records would not be generated would be if the device is off, if the device is not connected to the network, or lack of record retention by the provider.
Okay. And in this case, you saw records for Mr. Pahl traveling back to the residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And they had the same provider?
They're on the same provider, yes.
Okay. So that would rule out that particular scenario for Ms. Pavlon's not having records?
Yes, most likely her device was either powered off or lost connection to the network.
Okay. And the images that were sent from Ms. Pavlon's device to Mr. Pahl's device, those are being sent at or near 1001 Delafield Street?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to September 2nd. Next slide, please. What did you see on September 2nd?
This is, again, additional messages being sent from Ms. Pavlon's device to Matthew Pahl's device. Same kind of theory here in terms of why there's so much information here. The top section is from Matthew Pahl's device, and we'll see that the first message at approximately 8:23 a.m. has that 382.jpg attachment. A couple seconds later, there's a thumbnail with that 382 being modified on Matthew Pahl's device. At approximately 8:24 a.m., there's the message sent to his device with an attachment of 379.jpg. And a second later, you see the thumbnail including 379.jpg being modified on his device. At the bottom, same type of information. These messages were not recovered on Ms. Pavlon's device. So here I'm showing that between 8:23 a.m. and approximately 8:24 a.m., there's the usage for the messaging application. And while there's usage in the messaging application, there are two long file names, one at 8:23:44 a.m. and one at 8:23:58 a.m. Those two long file names being modified by Ms. Pavlon's messaging application match the thumbnails being created on Mr. Pahl's device at this time.
Okay, next slide, please. Same thing here. We're looking at the actual images that were sent from Ms. Pavlon's device to Mr. Pahl's device.
That's correct. So it's two images, each displayed twice, one being the modification on Ms. Pavlon's device, one being the thumbnail modification on Mr. Pahl's device, and that's the same for each image.
Okay, and in order for these images to be sent from Ms. Pavlon's device, someone would need to be actually manipulating the phone, going through the photos, and finding these to send through the messaging app?
Yes, ma'am.
Next slide, please. What else did you see on September 2nd?
At the very end of that exchange that I just talked about, there's a snapshot that's created. We saw this previously back on August 24th. We had the same snapshot displayed. This is very similar to a screenshot on your device, but this is the phone doing this automatically, typically when an application is closed. So we just saw 2 pictures that were sent. In this snapshot, you can see that the last text, or appears to be the last text message, is a message to Chewy in which you, or Ms. Pavlon's device, sent a picture, and that very small thumbnail matches one of the pictures that was sent from Ms. Pavlon's device to Mr. Pahl's device.
Okay, we also see in this snapshot a message on Wednesday, 2 messages on Tuesday, and a message on Monday. Were those messages located within Ms. Pavlon's device themselves?
I don't believe any of those were recovered from her physical device.
And so that would mean that they were deleted sometime after September 2nd when this snapshot was created?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and some of those messages are talking about appointments?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, even those messages were deleted. Is that your memory?
Yeah, I believe that's right, yes.
Okay. Next slide, please. Continuing on September 2nd, what else happened?
At approximately 12:09 p.m., there's an incoming call on Ms. Pavlon's device from who I believe to be Delafield Dental. That call goes unanswered and is routed out to voicemail. So that's what you're seeing in those top 2 entries. These were recovered from Ms. Pavlon's call detail record, as these phone calls were deleted from her device. Actually, I don't believe that these ones were deleted.
Okay.
I'm not confident in that. Approximately 7 hours later, at 7:17 p.m., there's an outgoing call on Ms. Pavlon's phone checking voicemail.
Okay, if we can play that voicemail, please.
Hi, this message is for Stephanie. This is Katie calling from Delafield Dental. We had you scheduled today for your new patient appointment at 12 o'clock. The time is now 12:10. We were just calling to see if you were on your way or if we do need to go ahead and get that appointment rescheduled for you. We can see you up until 12:15, so if you are on your way, please go ahead and give us a call back here within the next 5 minutes. And if not, then just give the office a call to reschedule. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now, Detective, whoever listened to that voicemail would know that Ms. Pavlon's missed an appointment on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are these calls occurring at or near 1000? Let me ask that again. Are these calls occurring while the device is at or near 1001 Delafield?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, September 2nd at 8:52 p.m. What was significant about this timing?
This is going to be another animation. This is the second occurrence that I noted where Ms. Pavlon's device clearly leaves the area of 1001 Delafield. It's going to get messy again with the number of records shown, but the devices appear to be traveling together. Mr. Pahl's will be the blue, Ms. Pavlon's will be the red. They go to the area, kind of the south side of Milwaukee, and then they both return to the area of 1001 Delafield.
Why were you asked to map each time both devices left the area together?
So the initial request to me was to identify any times where Ms. Pavlon's device appeared to leave 1001 Delafield. And if I were to identify any times where her device left, does it appear that Matthew Pahl's device is traveling with it? So this is the second of 3 occurrences where I could tell that Ms. Pavlon's device left the area of 1001 Delafield.
And during each of those 3 occurrences, did both Mr. Pahl's device and Ms. Pavlon's device leave?
Yes, and they appear to be traveling together.
No other times where Ms. Pavlon's device leaves on its own from the residence?
Not that I found, no.
Okay, thank you. If we can play this animation, please. So, Detective, that animation shows the devices both leaving the residence, going to an area of Greenfield and Layton Avenue, and then also returning?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I see the time counter on the right-hand side. Is that approximately the times that we are seeing the devices leave and then return?
On the right-hand side of this map?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you said at approximately 8:52 p.m. both devices leave the area of 1001 Delafield. What time do both devices approximately return?
I don't recall specifically. If you played back the animation, I could give you my best approximate based on the speed of this animation.
Right. This is a pretty quick animation.
Yes, ma'am. It's moving very fast.
Okay. We'll start it again.
Based on the speed of that, my best approximation is about 10:05 p.m.
Okay. And this time counter goes all the way to 10:14. So there's some overlap where both devices are back at the residence and remaining there?
At or very near. With this zoomed out, I can't say specifically that they're at 1001 Delafield.
Okay. Next slide, please. Then what happens on September 4th that was significant in your investigation?
On September 4th, these are UTC times, so between approximately 5:05 p.m. and 5:40 p.m., there's activity on what's labeled as Stephanie Hall's Facebook account, which was told to me that that is Stephanie Pavlons' Facebook account. So there's a message from Ms. Pavlons' account to Sherilyn Valente on Facebook. And at 10:05 p.m., that message reads, "What's happened with you and Matt?" Following that, there's a number of messages incoming from Sherilyn Valente's Facebook account to Ms. Pavlon's account.
Okay. And can you tell us what Ms. Sherilyn says at 10:07?
At approximately 10:07 p.m., Sherilyn Valente types, "Hi, I don't know. I'm clueless. I really didn't know what's happening. Do you have any idea? Because I've been worrying so much."
What was significant in your review of the Skype messages between Sherilyn Valente and Mr. Pahl and any contact you were aware they were having between August 23rd and September 4th?
In reference to Skype specifically, I don't believe there's any Skype contact between Sherilyn Valente and Matthew Pahl between August 23rd and this time. I do believe there was an email exchange between them, though.
Right. We saw an email between Sherilyn Valente and Mr. Matthew Pahl on August 26th.
That sounds right, yes.
Okay. And so it appears that Ms. Pavlon's account is the one that reaches out to Ms. Sherilyn Valente?
Based on this, yes.
Okay. What's the next message Ms. Valente sends?
At approximately 10:08 p.m., Ms. Valente writes, "Please help me."
And the next two messages?
The next one at 10:09, those squares are likely from some type of emoji or something that can't be encoded properly. And then at 10:11 p.m., there's a message from Sherilyn Valente reading, "I don't want to lose him, Steph."
And what are the next few messages that she sends on September 4th?
At 10:33 p.m., Sherilyn Valente writes, "He never gave me his real name." At 10:34 p.m., Sherilyn Valente writes, "But I respect him. If he doesn't want to, that's okay with me." And at approximately 10:40 p.m., Sherilyn Valente writes, "Steph, I don't have trusted friends either, and I'm glad I met you. In fact, I'm really getting shy with you because I don't want you to think that I only talk to you when I need something. No, it's not that. One day, I'll make it up to you."
these messages occurred between 5:05 and 5:40. Where was Miss Pavlons' device located at the approximate time of these messages?
I believe at or very near the area of 1001 Delafield.
Okay, next slide, please. The Facebook messages continue. Can you read these messages, please?
Yes, beginning at approximately 10:40 p.m. Ms.
What time and local time?
I'm sorry, 5:40 p.m. local time. Ms. Valente writes like asterisk. At 10:40 p.m. again, Ms. Valente writes what made him mad. At approximately 10:41 p.m., I'm sorry, 5:41 p.m., Ms. Valente writes, I don't want him get mad. At approximately 5:43 p.m., Ms. Valente writes, I'm sorry, Steph. If it seemed I'm not interested, I don't mean that.
And what does Ms. Pavlons, what does her account respond at 5:54 p.m.?
At approximately 5:54 p.m., Ms. Pavlons' account writes, I have belly ache. I need to find medicine. If he says anything, I'll just tell him you care very much, and I just reached out to you. Sorry, I have to rest, but please take care of yourself. And so you know he always cared very much for you very much.
How does Sherilyn Valente respond to those messages sent from Ms. Pavlons' account?
She first reacts with the heart emoji on that message, and then at approximately 5:58 p.m., Sherilyn Valente writes, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You take meds, Steph, and you take care of yourself. I just feel relieved talking to you. I'm so worried about him, and I care for him so much that hopefully we overcome this. And sorry, too, if I don't open my messenger much. I just opened this for work, but I'll surely can receive your messages. Take a rest, Steph. Thank you for reaching out. I really do appreciate it so much. Have a great day.
And that last message is sent at 5:58 local time?
That's correct.
Okay. Going to the next slide, did you observe both devices leaving the residence at approximately 9:27 p.m.?
Yes, they do leave the residence. This is much closer proximity. It's not as obvious that they leave the residence, but they appear to travel south to southeast on Delafield Street to the area where the coop is labeled on this map.
That's pretty close to the apartment based on this map?
Relatively speaking, yes.
And based on your evaluation of these records compared to some of those records where we saw them travel great distances, did you believe that the devices were traveling by some way other than car?
Yes, most likely on foot or on a bicycle, definitely not in a vehicle.
Okay, we can play this animation, please. Okay, based on that animation and the arcs of those records, do you believe that the devices remained in close proximity to maybe like the downtown Waukesha area or just on the west side of the river?
Yeah, based on my analysis, they'd be in the area of the coop or about where Madison and East North intersect, and I can circle that if you'd like.
Sure, that would be great. And how did you make that determination? Just trying to understand how these records work and what exactly you're looking at.
Yeah, so when I analyze these, remember that the shaded area has nothing to do with the record. That shaded area is just for visual. So when the animation started, you saw the blue line or the blue arc slowly moving away from 1001 Delafield, moving south. Eventually, we began seeing records from Ms. Pavlons' device coming into the map, and those are also south of 1001 Delafield. So looking at just the records on our screen here at this time, both devices are in the general area of those arcs, Ms. Pavlons being the red, Mr. Pahl's being the blue, and those are clearly away from 1001 Delafield at this time.
Okay. Next slide, please. I guess I should ask you before we move on. Detective, did you then observe both devices return to the residence?
They do eventually return. I don't have an exact time frame when they return back to the area of 1001 Delafield.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, if we could clear the screen. So looking at September 5th, what do we see here on the screen to the right?
So I kind of just talked about this, but this is a list of Skype contacts between Matthew Pahl and Sherilyn Valente. So the top two messages here, one being August 21st, 2022, the next entry being a missed call, missed incoming call from Sherilyn to Matthew Pahl on 8/23/2022, and then there's a gap from 8/23 to September 5th, 2022, where I did not observe any messages between Ms. Valente and Mr. Pahl on Skype. But again, there was that email exchange between them on August 26th.
Okay, and on September 5th at 6:42 a.m., what message does Mr. Pahl send to Sherilyn Valente?
Yes, at approximately 6:42 a.m. on September 5th, 2022, Mr. Pahl sends Ms. Valente a message that reads, "What's the matter? You don't check your emails like your messenger?" And that's followed up with another message that reads, "If you want to know, good. If not, that's fine too."
Why was that message on September 5th about checking Messenger significant based on what we've seen on September 4th?
So, to my knowledge, Stephanie Pavlons is messaging Ms. Valente. I should say Ms. Pavlons' account is messaging Ms. Valente's account through Facebook Messenger. And based on this, it appears Mr. Pahl may have been the one doing that, as he's now questioning Ms. Valente as to why she doesn't check her email like she's checking Messenger. And I take Messenger here to be that of Facebook Messenger.
Okay, and the last message that Mr. Pahl sends at 6:44 a.m.?
At approximately 6:44 a.m. on September 5th, 2022, Mr. Pahl writes, "No, I'm not trying to chat. Read your email."
Then what happens later that morning at 8:56 a.m.?
There's I don't remember if it's incoming or outgoing, but there is a call through Skype between Mr. Pahl and Ms. Valente that lasts approximately 2 hours and 6 minutes.
Okay, and that's the first time that there's any sort of voice call between the two parties dating back through Skype?
At least in the information I reviewed, yes.
Next slide. On September 6th, did you become aware that Mr. Pahl had a appointment at OAW at approximately 10:30 a.m., and based on these records, he checked in or arrived at about 10:34 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next slide, please. Did you become aware that there was dash camera video obtained from Mr. Marvin Pahl's apartment that depicted some of Mr. Pahl's activity on September 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
What does this depict?
This is a dash cam from Matthew Pahl's truck. Begins at approximately 12:08 p.m. on September 6th, 2022. And it's in the parking lot of Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
Okay, and again, this same dash camera has that timing difference that you have to account for.
Yes, ma'am. It's approximately 13 hours ahead of local time here.
Can we play this video, please? Okay, that ends at 12:09:23.
Yes, ma'am.
It appears the vehicle's moving pretty slowly. Did you do anything to alter this video to slow it down, or is this at the normal speed of the video?
I did not alter this video at all.
Okay, if we can go to the next slide, please. The next video starts at 12:09:31.
Yes, local time here, 12:09:31
Okay.
on September 6th.
It appears there's a little bit of a gap between the last video that we watched and this video. Did you find any other videos from September 6th?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Not in this time frame, I should clarify.
this is the video exactly as you found it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll start again, 12:09. Can you pause it, please? Oh. Detective, when we pause the video, could you see a white car coming out of a driveway?
Yes, I did see a white car,
Okay.
yes.
What is that driveway where the white car is coming from? We're just going to skip forward a little bit. There we go.
If you were to turn right, where that white car is, I don't know how far, but that row would be where the first or the beginning of this dash cam started, so where the vehicle was parked.
Okay, so in the first dash cam, Mr. Paul backs out and heads to the right. If he would have backed out and turned to the left, that would have been the entrance or exit to OAW that he could have exited?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we can push play again. Detective, did you also learn that at about 3 p.m., Mr. Paul took his car to a car wash at Arcadian Car Wash?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we're not going to review that video, but you were aware that Mr. Paul went to that location and was at that location for quite some time?
Yes, ma'am, and I believe we established that time frame by me using these records to determine what time about he was at the car wash.
Okay, and so when you obtained the car wash video, you were able to significantly shorten the time frame that you were looking for based on the records?
I believe that's the order that it happened in, yes.
Did that also corroborate, again, that these records were accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We can go to the next slide, please. What happens that evening on September 6th?
There's incoming messages on Ms. Pavlons' Facebook account from Ms. Valente. The first one is on September 6th at approximately 8:41 p.m. local time. That message reads, "Hi Steph, how are you? Hope you're okay now and feel better. Matt and I are okay now. Thank you so much for your advice. Hopefully someday I can make it up to you. Thanks, thanks, thanks."
And the next message?
At approximately 10:23 p.m., there's another incoming message from Ms. Valente to Ms. Pavlons' Facebook account, and it reads, "Thanks for the advice, Steph. That's so sweet of you. I'll keep that on mind. Have a good night's sleep."
Did you locate any messages from Ms. Pavlon's Facebook account in between these two records?
Not to my knowledge.
This is exactly how Facebook provided those records to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next slide, please. What happens on September 7th?
There's conversation between Matthew Pahl and Sherilyn Valente on Skype, including the following messages. At approximately 6:37 a.m., Matthew Pahl says, and this is in part, "You also had more than a year to be friends with Steph. Now, suddenly you want to act like friend. Then back in April, I tell you just leave her alone, but your excuse is she reached out to you. So what?"
I'm going to stop you there. Does this indicate to you that Mr. Paul was aware of messages being sent from Sherlyn to Stephanie's Facebook account on September 6th?
It does appear so, yes.
Okay. Next message.
At approximately 6:40 a.m., Ms. Valente says, "I'm sorry about Steph. I just realized that she's been so good to me, and all she needed was a friend, and I failed her." At approximately 6:43 a.m., Ms. Valente writes, "I just thanked her because despite of everything, she still managed to reach out to me. I felt like my conscience bothered me. I should have done better. You're right. It was too late. Sorry, hun." At approximately 7 a.m., Matthew Pahl says in part, "I told you she wasn't being a good friend either, and to just leave it alone. Chat later about that." And at 7:02 a.m., Ms. Valente says, "Okay, hun, sorry again. I just want to show her some respect for being kind to me as well."
Next slide. Then on September 8th, what conversations did you locate?
These are Skype conversations between Matthew Pahl and Desierto on Skype. Beginning at approximately 3:36 a.m., Desierto says, "Are you stressed out with tickets?" At approximately 3:38 a.m., Matthew Pahl says, "No, hun, not tickets. You know what it is." At approximately 3:39 a.m., Matthew Pahl says, "Tickets I have somewhat control over, not others' bad decisions." At approximately 3:42 a.m., Desierto says, "Don't get so stressed about the thing you've been worried."
And then is there a call between Mr. Paul and Desierto?
Yes, there's an incoming call from Desierto to Matthew Pahl at approximately 4:14 a.m. That Skype call lasted approximately 1 hour and 10 minutes.
So Mr. Paul and Ms. Desierto are talking in the middle of the night, 3:36 to 4:14 a.m., 5:14 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am, in that general time frame.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. I can tell based on the images you have here on this slide that there's some more images that are sent from Ms. Pavlon's device to Mr. Paul's phone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What time is the first image sent?
So the first image per Matthew Pahl's device was an incoming message at approximately 10:35 a.m.
Okay. And this time there are a total of 4 messages sent from Ms. Pavlon's device to Mr. Pahl's device?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, again, did you recover those images on Ms. Pavlon's device?
So the images, yes, I recovered the cached version of that image on Ms. Pavlon's device. I did not recover the actual message on Ms. Pavlon's device.
So you recover the image, but not the message being sent from Ms. Pavlon's to Mr. Pahl?
I guess image is a broad term. I recovered a form of that image, not necessarily the exact image that was sent, but a cached version of that image.
Okay, so if we went on to Ms. Pavlon's device and we looked at messages from September 8th, we would not see messages sent from Ms. Pavlon's to Mr. Pahl in that chat.
That's correct.
Okay, trying to get it in the simple terms. We'll go to the next slide, please. All right, what are we looking at here in these 4 images? I can tell that these 4 images are different than the couple times we've seen something like this before.
Yes, so these are the 4 images, which had we done what I did previously, these images were similar on both devices between what was being cached by Ms. Pavlon's phone and what was being created in thumbnail version on Mr. Pahl's phone. There are 4 individual pictures here. The timestamps at the bottom are the timestamps for which these chats actually occurred. So the first screenshot on the far left, the chats that we're seeing there occurred July 30th, 2022 at approximately 11:45 a.m. The second picture, those chats occurred on August 4th, 2022 at approximately 12:17 p.m. The third occurred August 4th, 2022 at approximately 6:50 p.m. And the last or farthest to the right occurred August 4th, 2022 at approximately 7:55 p.m. It's important that going from left to right, if they're 1, 2, 3, 4, pictures 1, 2, and 4 were all screenshotted on Ms. Pavlon's device on September 8th. So these chats had to have existed on her device as of September 8th. However, I did not recover any of these messages on her device when I conducted my forensic extraction of her device.
And each of these screenshots are of messages sent between a contact listed as Chewy and Ms. Pavlon's.
Yes, ma'am.
Based on your review, who is Chewy?
Chewy in Ms. Pavlon's contacts is Matthew Pahl's phone number.
Okay, so these are messages sent between Mr. Pahl and Ms. Pavlon's going back from July 30th and August 4th, right?
That's correct.
Those messages are not on Ms. Pavlon's device when you extracted and reviewed the device?
That's correct.
So they were deleted sometime after September 18th, before your department takes custody of the device on September 17th.
That's correct.
Okay. Next slide, please. What else do we see on September 8th?
There's an outgoing call on September 8th from Matthew Pahl to Marvin Pahl. It's at approximately 8:33 p.m., and that phone call lasts approximately 41 minutes.
Okay. We can go to the next slide, please. What was significant about September 9th, 2022, in your investigation?
September 9th, 2022 is when law enforcement received notification of a deceased subject in the woods near Orthopedic Associates, and ultimately my department, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, responded out to begin that investigation.
Prior to September 9th, when your department responds to begin the investigation, has anyone in law enforcement been notified that Stephanie Pavlons is missing?
Not to my knowledge.
Has anyone in law enforcement been notified that Stephanie Pavlons is endangered or has not been seen?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So what are we looking at here on September 9th?
So this is going to be another animation. It generally shows there's not as many records in this one, but it's going to show Matthew Pahl's device, or the blue device, moving from the area of 1001 Delafield in the bottom right of the screen up towards Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, ultimately past Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin and then back to Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
And on this day, Mr. Pahl's device travels alone to those locations?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, we can start the animation, please. So, Detective, I want to ask you about what we see on the very last screen here. The last record is at 1:10 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I think this is a good example of what we're looking at and what's important. When I see the tower over by the Cherokee Woods subdivision, what's important about that particular record and where Mr. Pahl's device is located?
So when looking at only this one record right here, yes, the tower is significant because that's the tower and sector that was used. But in terms of finding the physical location of this device, it would again be somewhere along that large arc. I think it's obvious, but if you'd want me to draw a line on that arc, I could.
Nope, that's okay. I think with one particular record, that's helpful. Did you also recover dash camera video from Mr. Pahl's dash camera video that records Mr. Pahl's vehicle and route of travel that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if we can go to the next slide, please. Is that what we're looking at here?
This is the beginning of it, yes.
Okay. And what time does this dash camera video start?
This would be on local time, September 9th, 2022, at approximately 1:01 p.m.
Okay, and what are we going to see on this video?
Judge, I'm object to playing this video. The jury's already seen it. I think it's cumulative.
Judge, it's one video.
Hang on. Go ahead.
It's one video. It's very short, and I think it assists the jury in putting into context all of the events of this day.
This witness is testifying about a summary of information that was testified to about being gathered from other law enforcement officers, and I think his purpose is to relate it to other things that were happening. I'll allow it.
We can push play, please. Detective, what did we see at the very end of that video?
So right before the video stops, it appears the vehicle was in the right lane of travel, and the vehicle moves back over to the left lane of travel.
What are all those vehicles there that we see in the driveway area of OAW?
The ones lined up along the entrance there, the majority, if not all, are law enforcement vehicles.
Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. After Mr. Pahl passes Orthopedic Associates, is this a summary of his direction and location of travel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you review those dash camera videos to determine exactly his direction and route of travel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me about that.
So where the dot is, right by Orthopedic Associates, that's essentially where the dash cam we just watched stops. If you continue watching the dash cam, he travels west on Gulf Road, southbound on Elmhurst, westbound into Creekside Court. There's a little U-turn in the court. He comes back out, proceeds northbound on Elmhurst, eastbound on Gulf, and then I believe the next slide is going to show you the dash cam of him pulling into Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
Okay. So he drives away from OAW and is driving in the opposite direction of OAW for before returning a total of about 7 minutes?
Approximately, yes.
Okay. Next slide, please. And what do we see here? What time does this start?
This is on September 9th, 2022 at approximately 1:09 p.m. And you're seeing we're orientated kind of northeast here, but from eastbound Gulf Road turning north into Orthopedic Associates driveway.
Okay. And play the video, please. Next slide. Once Mr. Pahl is in the parking lot, what does he do next?
About the same time, there's an outgoing call from Mr. Pahl's device to Marvin Pahl's device. That call begins at approximately 1:10 p.m. That call lasts approximately 17 minutes.
Okay. Next slide. Now, did your department obtain video from Orthopedic Associates?
Some video, yes.
Okay. You were able to obtain video of September 9th of Mr. Pahl entering and exiting the doors at OAW.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you learn about this video that maybe other investigators were not aware of?
So coming in, he's on his cell phone, which corresponds with the call that we just talked about and the duration of that call. I think it's the next slide after this. We observe Mr. Pahl walking out, and there's audio on this camera. It appeared he was playing, or there was police chatter, I'll call it. Sounds like a police radio. So I went back into Mr. Pahl's device and located application usage logs that showed that he had the police scanner app open on his phone when he's exiting Orthopedic Associates on this day.
Okay, so we'll play this video first. This is at 1:22 p.m.
Correct.
And that video matches the phone records indicating that Mr. Matthew Pahl is making a phone call or is on the phone with Mr. Marvin Pahl, right?
Correct.
Okay, next slide, please. What are we seeing on this slide?
So this will be the big portion here is the video of Matthew Pahl exiting Orthopedic Associates. And then what I did is at the top of this video, so at 1:58 p.m. or approximately 1:58 p.m., you can see that the police scanner app is brought to focus on Mr. Pahl's phone. At 2 p.m. is when the video takes place, and at approximately 2:02 p.m., the police scanner app on Matthew Pahl's phone is closed.
Again, what types of things would be happening on a police scanner app or on a police scanner?
General communications, dispatches for calls for service. I'm not too familiar with police scanner apps, but my understanding is it's hard to pick which channel you want to listen to. But in general, police communications.
And you're familiar with police communications. You, as a detective and as a patrol deputy, would use the radio regularly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to play this video, please.
They're working on the fish for pushing and what they were
Now, Detective, based on your familiarity with police radio, dispatch, audio, what did you hear in that video?
So I can't make out what exactly is being said, but it does sound like police communications and a female dispatcher acknowledging that she copied whatever transmission was played.
Okay. Important to note, did that audio stop after Mr. Pahl was outside of the little vestibule area here?
It appeared to, yes.
Okay. And did not continue once that other gentleman walked in?
I didn't hear it, no.
Why is that significant?
So I tried to determine, when I initially watched the video, I tried to rule out that it's possibly not one of our officers standing underneath this camera with his radio playing. So I think it's significant that as Mr. Pahl exits, the audio stops, and at 2 p.m., our radios are pretty much nonstop. There's a lot of communication going on. And then the application usage logs shows that he did have the application open. So I'm just trying to rule out that it's not a police officer off camera here. Just you're hearing his radio playing.
Okay. And could someone use police scanner audio to try and determine what's going on outside OAW there at the crime scene?
I guess they could, yes.
So that occurs at 2 o'clock. Mr. Pahl exits OAW, and fair to say he exits to the and turns kind of towards the west.
Correct. To the right here would be to the west, yes.
Next slide, please. Then based on this dash camera, we know that he's manipulating his dash camera inside his car at about 2:09 p.m.
Judge, I'm gonna object to the form of the motion. He doesn't know what's supposed to do here with the dash cam.
Well, then we can play it.
All right, hang on a second. I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. If we could play this slide, please. Detective, did you see anyone else in the vehicle with Mr. Pahl there?
I saw a hand picking up the dash cam and appears to be sticking it back to the windshield.
Okay, and that's at 2:09 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Next slide, please. This slide, this video starts at 2:14 p.m. There's no video between 2:09 and 2:14, is that correct?
In the PowerPoint, that is correct. I'm not sure 100% if there's any dash cams that we didn't include here.
Okay, and this video is about 1 minute long?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we can play this here. Detective, I want to direct your attention back to slide 93, please. Okay. It looks like there's a second outgoing call on 9/9 at 2:06 p.m. Who's making that call?
Yes, ma'am. This is another outgoing call from Matthew Pahl's device to Marvin Pahl's phone number. It occurs at approximately 2:06 p.m. and that call lasts approximately 17 minutes.
Okay, so Mr. Pahl exits OAW at about 2 o'clock p.m. He calls Mr. Marvin Pahl at 2:06 p.m., and then that's where the dash camera video picks up at 2:09 p.m.
Approximately, yes.
Okay, we can go forward to slide 98 now. Thank you. What are we looking at here, Detective?
So this is going to be another animation. It's going to play rather quickly, but we have OAW, or Orthopedic Associates, down towards the bottom left of your screen. This is between approximately 2:15 p.m. and 3 p.m. And it's going to show Mr. Pahl's device take a general route of eastbound I-94 to northbound I-41 to northbound 45 into the area of Jackson. At the top of your map, there's another address. That address was provided to me as Marvin Pahl's address.
Okay, so we're going to see Mr. Matthew Pahl leave OAW and drive up to his father's residence in Jackson, Marvin Pahl's residence. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This happens very fast. This is really just to corroborate that that's where Mr. Matthew Pahl, the direction he travels.
Correct.
Okay, if we can push play, please. So Mr. Matthew Pahl is in the area of Mr. Marvin Pahl's residence around 3 p.m.?
Yeah, I'm not sure why I cut this animation off a little early, but it goes until 2:54 p.m. And based on this, I would say he's in the Jackson area by 2:54 p.m. I don't know exactly when he gets to Marvin Pahl's residence.
Okay. Fair to say, though, that he's there after 3, sometime after 3 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next slide, please. Once Matthew Pahl is at Mr. Marvin Pahl's residence, what did you observe in Mr. Marvin Pahl's computer and his web search history?
Yes, so these are web searches recovered from Marvin Pahl's MacBook computer. They occur generally between approximately 3:38 p.m. and 5:56 p.m. They're conducted through the Yahoo search engine. First one, Stephanie Pavlons, missing woman found dead. Waukesha, Wisconsin, police reports. Waukesha, Wisconsin, police reports death. Waukesha, Wisconsin, police today's news, September 9th, 2022, video clips. Today's news, Highway 164 in Waukesha. Waukesha police scanner. Waukesha police scanner patch. News happening today in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Waukesha, Wisconsin, police today's news. Body found in Waukesha field. Stephanie Pavlons. Stephanie Pavlons, missing woman found dead. Stephanie Pavlons, missing woman found dead in apartment. Channel 6 News, live, Waukesha, Wisconsin. Body found by construction worker, dead. And how to take a screenshot on MacBook Pro.
Detective, by 5:56 on September 9th, did anyone in law enforcement know who it was that was found in the woods near OAW?
Not to my knowledge.
Did anyone know in law enforcement that Ms. Stephanie Pavlons had been missing since August 23rd?
At this point, no.
Did these web history searches on Mr. Marvin Pahl's computer appear to be relevant to your investigation?
I would say so, yes.
Why?
Because at this point, we didn't release any information about who was found, simply because we didn't know. Based on these searches, maybe this person knows.